In the break room with TWU Local 555, we are continuing our Heritage Month series with Pride Month. This is part 2 of our interview with Ray Perez Pitstick from San Diego. And we're just going to pick this interview up right where we left off the last one. I was asking him about, his perfect utopia. In the last episode, we talked about the origins of Pride and, a little bit of his backstory. But I want to know about the future. What Pride means to him moving forward. What's that utopia?
Acceptance of everyone, everywhere. You still hear and then use where sort of more of those conservative, governments, and I don't want to be too political, kind of get, back into office and they want to strip rights away. In a lot of European countries and, Latin countries, in African countries, there's still stigma and there's still not any sort of protections possibly for our community. And there's still other countries that don't have legalized gay marriage. I think that's sad because there are other countries that are very progressive in other aspects, yet just not in that main important one, to give the right to an individual to marry who they want to marry.
I mean, on a national level, I don't even think we're 10 years in. States level, we're a little bit more than that, but
California, true. California was kind of one of the first states, but then that was stopped and paused. And I kind of was like, well, I remember when that happened. It became legalized, and then it was, repealed. But I was kind of sad. I was like, well, damn, now I had that right at the grasp of my fingertips, and then it was just taken away. But then, down the line, it was, we were able to get those, same-sex marriage legalized, which I think at that second time when it was brought, legalized again, that's when we decided to get married.
I mean, what are some of the other things that you want to see moving forward for the community?
Education, because I feel like education has always been very important to me, because the more educated you are, and not just books, book education, just education-wise of like getting to know someone and knowing who they are and getting to learn about them and their lives. You learn something, and that changes your mind, and that can change your opinion. And I just feel like having education out there, accessible to everybody, is, I think, the most important thing in helping people to understand everyone's different, and being able to accept each other for those differences makes you not that different after all. I would like to see more stories shared, struggles, to show the kids these days what it was like, the struggle back then. That, I see people that are younger than me, and I feel like they're a lot more freer with themselves, not so concerned with the societal norm. And I say that loosely, where I was like, I wish I had that when I was 16 or when I was 17. I wish I had that openness, that acceptance, that education when I was 16 or 17, going through school and, trying to figure out who I was or wasn't. I've always felt that education across the board is always key in tolerance and acceptance and love.
Parasocially, if you look at role models that a young person can have, they're everywhere.
I think the only role model I had growing up was Madonna.
Okay.
And
well, she would be the queen, right?
She's Queen Mother Madonna. Yes, she is. She was the role model that I had growing up in the 80s and 90s, and seeing her on MTV, and I was like, who is this person? And I seen her backup dancers and the music videos, and I felt a little akin to them. I was like, why do I feel like I see myself in that person? Not really understanding that they might have been gay or bi, and her support for them, So now I just feel like there's more role models making it okay to be who you want to be and love who you want to love and being more authentic.
Let's talk about, what we're part of. We're part of something that is an actual choice. And,
yes.
that is a community, a job, a brotherhood, a sisterhood,
Mm-hmm.
and that is organized labor. My brain can draw comparisons between being part of an organized labor community
mm-hmm.
and being part of LGBTQ plus community. Can you?
Yes, I've always appreciated the idea of organized labor, because it's organized protection. It's the idea that everyone is equal at every level and everyone deserves the same right, the same respect for doing the same job. No one's better, no one's worse, no one's different. We're all the same. We're all part of that brotherhood and that sisterhood working together. And I've always appreciated that since I came into this job. I've worked here in San Diego for almost 18 years. And this is the first job I've ever had that was organized labor, being part of a union. And, coming into this job at 23, I believe, 24, I was very intimidated. It was very, it was the first job it could be very intimidated, very masculine. I just felt very welcomed because people wanted to see you make it past probation. They wanted to see you succeed in the workplace. And there was always that support for me, me coming in, being, gay on the ramp, not having very many other coworkers at the time that were part of the same group. I always felt that support. And I feel like that goes back to the, organized labor, and everyone is fair or should be treated fair across the board at all times. And I've always appreciated that.
And now you're a representative.
I am. I'm the alternate union rep here on the ramp, and I've been doing this for almost 10 years. And I was a safety rep for one term, and I decided not to do it anymore. I had too much on my plate. But I've been doing this for about almost 10 years.
Well, your reputation precedes you. That is for damn sure, Ray.
I didn't know I had a reputation.
It's a strong reputation. Big rep energy is what I'll say.
Thank you. I just kind of do what I do, and I don't really realize what I'm doing sometimes.
That's probably a good thing sometimes.
I think it is.
You mentioned organized protection.
Yes.
I love that saying. Organized protection for all human beings.
It is.
Not just organized labor. That's the goal here.
And that's one of the reasons now, even though it can be very stressful and exhausting being one of the reps here in San Diego, is that I just want everyone to be treated fairly and not to be taken advantage of by, management or just the way things can be. When you're on the labor side, I want to always make sure that everyone's treated fairly. Make sure everyone is treated fairly, whether they're gay, straight, bi, trans, black, white, male, female. I've always strived to make sure everyone felt that they were treated fairly by us, and to make sure that they are being treated fairly by, the company and the labor side of it. I don't think I really felt the importance or understood the importance of being, a first year, second year, third year employee until I was asked to be one of the alternates, not knowing what this entailed or even the responsibility that it entails. And I don't know how many reps are out there in the system that are, gay, trans, or bi, I don't know. I mean, there's very few. So I do feel that responsibility to make sure everyone is protected and treated fairly, and that they are able to continue their career with Southwest, and more importantly, as a TWU member.
That is what we need to strive for.
We try here in San Diego, and I hope that happens elsewhere in the system for sure.
Ray, how are you going to celebrate Pride?
I'm actually really excited. My best friend, who's from Switzerland, him and his family and my goddaughter are flying in for July, and they're coming right in time for San Diego Pride. So I know they'll be very jet lagged. And I know this is their first time experience that. And my goddaughter's about 10. So I'm really excited to take her and her sister to see this. I don't know how Pride is celebrated in Geneva specifically. I haven't been there for that. But I'm really excited for them to see the parade and the festival and the people and just having a good time and having it be their first experience here in my hometown.
Well, to everybody who's listening, it is a great time. Go out there, find your local Pride parade, find the Pride festivals, the concerts, the nights out. You're going to have a good time no matter who you are, what you think. It's a blast.
Yeah, you might make some new friends and have a good time, and you never know what's going to happen out there.
Ray Perez Pitstick, thank you so much for coming in the break room, sharing your experience, telling us your story, giving us some great insight into Pride and the community as a whole. Really appreciate you.
Thanks for having me. And if any of you guys go out there and celebrate Pride, make sure you sparkle.
That is Ray Perez Pitstick from San Diego. Thank you so much for coming on. Got to get the backstory behind the nickname. I heard your nickname.
Yeah, I didn't know if people really know my name. I was going to start that off as like, I identify as Sparkle, but I don't want to be offensive. Starting this job was very intimidating. I was on probation. I was, very young and seeing all these, it's a very masculine environment at the time, I thought. And, one guy was kind of like, why aren't you sweating? You're on probation. You should be out there working, fun hazing type of, I wasn't very offended by it, but I was really nervous because I was on probation. I wanted to make a good impression. I was really nervous, because I didn't want to make any waves. And I was like, well, I don't sweat, I sparkle, and kind of, I didn't know what to say, and I just kind of walked off, and that's how I got my name, and he spread that around. And
that's how nicknames work.
Yeah, it's kind of what I go by around here.
All right, thank you to Ray, thank you to Sparkle, I should say, and to all of our LGBTQ plus members. Appreciate all that you do for our local as you live your authentic selves. We hope everybody gets out there, gets to a Pride event, enjoys their communities. We're going to be continuing these Heritage Month series as the podcast goes along, and there's going to be much, much more. Make sure you subscribe and share the podcast, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube Music. Make sure you follow our social media at TWU Local 555, wherever you get your social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and our website, twu555.org. Lots of great information on there. We'll talk to you soon. My name is Eric Peterson for Ray Perez Pitstick in San Diego. Happy Pride, everybody. And remember, we are all 555.
Let's hope it's a 5-star episode.
Forgot to ask you.
I will rate this episode 5 stars, not 1.